Good evening, everyone. We've called meeting to order. This meeting takes place in the traditional and ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. We are all treaty people. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? If not, approval of the agenda, recommendation that council approve the agenda for March 10th, 2026. Meeting is presented. Moved by Councilor Strong, seconded by Councilor Babineau. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Number 5.1, a recommendation that council approve the March 3rd, 2026 meeting minutes as presented. Is there a mover? Councilor Dauphinee, is a seconder. Councilor Fullerton. All those in favor, raise your right hand. There are no presentations, and we didn't have a sheet up there, so if any one of our two people in the audience would like to speak, now's your time. If you don't, just thanks for coming, and we'll move on to number 8. 8, we have no correspondence to deal with tonight. 9, there's no business arising and unfinished business, so we're to new business. 10.1, there's a tender and a report in front of us. There's a motion there, but before we read the motion, we'll have the report given by Lisa.
Thank you. There are currently several leaks in the Lunenberg Academy roof. Staff issued a tender for the full scope of the roof repairs in 2025, and 2 bids were received, both significantly over the 25-26 budgeted amount. At the August 19th meeting, council passed a motion to defer the project to this year, or this coming year. So for the 26-27 tender form, the work is divided into 2 sections. We have the base bid and the separate price. The base bid includes urgent items, and the separate price includes items that can be deferred by 3 to 5 years. In the attached staff report in figure 1, the base bid areas are highlighted in green and the separate price areas are highlighted in red. The expected lifespan of the repaired roof areas is 25 to 30 years with regular maintenance. So the tender closed on February 6th and has a validity for 60 days. 2 bids were received. Both consultant and staff reviewed the submissions. Both bids are competitively priced and represent a successful tendering process. It's important to note that if the work is deferred once again, there is a risk that the town will incur costs in staff resources and consulting services for retendering and may receive similar or higher prices for the work at that time. There is a recommendation for council's consideration.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Lisa from council? If there's no questions, would someone like to read the recommendation that's in front of us? Deputy Mayor.
I would put forth the motion of the recommendation that council increase the total budget for the Lunenberg Academy roof repairs project to $1,270,000, including net HST, with funding of $300,000 from grants, $250,000 from the Academy Foundation, and the balance financed with town capital debt financing of $720,000. And should we do it this all separate? Because there's a second part. Okay, yeah, so we can discuss that part.
So it's been moved. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councilor Fullerton. Any discussion on the motion? Deputy Mayor.
I just really not discussion. I fully understand the position we're in. We've lived through multiple tendering processes. It seems like an excessive amount, but it is the reality apparently in which we live now, and the work really needs to be done. So I don't see an alternative to what the hard work of our staff has brought us to, and so I feel we'll look forward to supporting the motion through vote, and I'm hopeful that there may be other ways of acquiring more funds that can bring down that amount that we may have to borrow, but we certainly have to ensure the project goes ahead, and which means accommodating that within our budget.
I'd just like to add that I agree with the deputy mayor. It's something that we have to do. This isn't going to get better. It's only going to get worse and more expensive as we defer it annually. So obviously the price that we had received last year wasn't as far off as we thought it was, unfortunately. So I guess this is where we sit, but that's not to say that we're not looking at other funding opportunities in the meantime with other levels of government. And again, if we move on to the next stage of the roof to do the parts that aren't in green down the road to get the whole roof done, I'm hoping that maybe we can do some type of maybe a capital fundraising project with the Academy Foundation. I always find in this community, especially when you have a project or a goal, you tend to be able to raise funds easier than it's just asking annually for a donation. People like to contribute to an end result. So like an example is the bell that you guys did, a couple of years ago. That was very successful. So if we combine our efforts, I think we could be successful at a fundraising venture for the next stage of the roof. So that's all I have to say on the motion. Anybody else have any comments? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. Opposed, motion carried unanimous. There's a second recommendation. Deputy Mayor, you want to read that off?
Happy to also move that to council award the Lunenburg Academy roof repairs tender to roof tile management for the base bid only amount of $991,554 plus HST.
It's been moved. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councilor Fullerton. Any further discussion on the motion? That's about $600,000 American, for those that are wondering. So, for all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Motion carried unanimous. Now we'll move on to 10.2. Second and final reading of the short-term accommodation levy bylaw. There is a recommendation there, but before we go to the recommendation, we'll have Paul, I guess, here doing the. Paul is going to give us a little update.
Thank you, Council. So tonight before you is the short-term accommodation levy bylaw for second reading. This has been an ongoing process within the community. I want to say even dating back to August and even previously with just identifying if this is a marketing levy that council wanted to go with, short-term accommodation levy. Within this process, it's gone through multiple education processes, surveying out to the accommodators in the communications, going through first reading, public hearing of objections, and we're at to this date now. There were some minor adjustments and changes within the scope of the bylaw. You'll notice them highlighted in yellow in your report, which really just looked at the title, definition of short-term rentals, as well as the addition of working with our local businesses and accommodators to pursue how we're going to spend the funds in the future. So those were the additions that council requested at the last public hearing. Those have been made before you. And so tonight, council, we didn't have any further correspondence or consultation brought forward from the public. So at this time, if council is ready to proceed with the bylaw, you have a motion before you for second reading.
Thank you. Any questions, or does someone want to make the motion? Go ahead, Councilor Strong.
I'm in the mood for motions. I would like to make a motion that council approve the second and final reading of the short-term accommodation levy bylaw as presented.
There's a seconder, Councilor Babineau. So any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimous. So now we're moving on to notice of motions. 11.1, Councilor Babineau.
Sure, happy to. So I move that council direct staff to review the current vending rules and bring forward options for increased flexibility and modernization, and that this report be presented at a future committee of the whole meeting.
It's been moved. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councilor Fullerton. Is there any discussion on the motion? Deputy Mayor?
So I missed, unfortunately, being present at the meeting when this was brought up, but certainly in favor of having a look at what we have in place currently and what is accommodated and what isn't in the vending rules that exist. I'm curious to know what was envisioned with including increased flexibility and modernization in the motion, and just because I'm getting this kind of fresh, so if there's sort of thoughts as to what might be envisioned with that, that would be helpful.
So I think this probably comes down to a lot of the public feedback that we were getting / have been getting in the past, and that some felt it was rather restrictive, the way it's currently laid out in our planning documents. But perhaps Councillor Strawn might want to add to that as well.
What I heard, or what I translated it into in my head last week, was that we have an opportunity to determine what size we would allow into the town, whether we would ask for solar or any of it, this, whether it's length of the vehicle or whatever. And I just think it was an opportunity to look at it from that way too. And I think the word modernization was mainly about to modernize from what it is now.
Any other comments? I'd just like to add that this is one of the bylaws that I think we have to do our due diligence on. I think that we have to have lots of public consultation. I think we have to reach out to the business community. And I certainly don't think this is a bylaw that we want to rush to a decision. So I think a good staff report, detailed staff report, updating the bylaw, giving us options, giving us choices, running it through, I guess, the Board of Trade, through the business community, get their feedback. The last thing we want to do is have happen what happened the last time this came forward on this table. It was basically done without any consultation to anybody or with anybody. And it was the worst meeting probably any council ever experienced in this building. And we don't want to repeat of that. So I think whatever we do moving forward, we want to be very careful. So again, I know the vending person that's applied this time is really anxious and excited and hopeful to get up and running this season. But I don't want anyone to be fooled. I don't think that is possible to happen with the timelines. The short-term rental bylaw took years. The hack and trolley bylaw, we started last year in the summer when we started having trouble. This bylaw has only been brought to our attention, quite honestly, because everybody's been avoiding it, because it was 3 years ago next month when old heck broke loose in this room. So, unfortunately, I wish this would have came forward in late summer, early fall, and we would have gave staff and ourselves the appropriate time to deal with it. But I don't know if we have enough time for this year. I certainly want us to do something and review the bylaw and update the bylaw. But I think we have to be honest and realistic with the applicant as well, so that they can make arrangements in other places possibly for this season. But I mean, the earliest it will probably come to a COTW would be May. So then you have to come to a COTW, then it has to go to council for direction to staff. Then a report comes back, then you have to engage the public. So then you have to have a public hearing because it's a bylaw. You have to advertise the public hearing for certain amounts of time because it's a bylaw change. So, and that's mandated to us by the province. So I'm just trying to be realistic here that for us to say it might be possible for this July, I think it's probably a long shot at the best. So we might as well be honest and upfront that we definitely want to help this individual out and move it forward. But it's a bylaw change. It's not a policy. It's not simple. That's why I really like policies over bylaws, because they can be changed a lot easier. So, but it's not. So I just want to let everyone know where we sit on this. And it's not that we're against it or anything else. It's just the way the law is laid out. It's not as simple as it sounded by the presenters last Tuesday night. We just can't look up someone else's bylaw and duplicate it and whammo, there you go. We have to go through a whole process. It has to be done during a procedure. So I just wanted to let everybody around the table and anyone that's watching at home know that we're not delaying it intentionally and we're not pushing it off. We have a process that we have to follow if we want it done right. And I think we saw 3 years ago when it was sort of forgotten, and then they wanted it for that season and they brought it on the table the end of February, didn't talk to anyone about anything. And then we saw what happened. And I have no desire to be in this room with the same environment and atmosphere that happened 3 years ago in April, because it was a lot of things said in this room to people that can't be taken back. And it was not a very nice setting. I felt for the counselors. I felt for the applicant at the time. And then I wasn't even in I watched it at home on the computer and I was, disturbed by it. So again, if we're going to review this, we should be doing it like we do every other bylaw, because we can't fast track a bylaw. It's not allowed. So that's my thoughts on where we're at this point. Deputy Mayor?
Just like to add to that for clarity too, for everyone, that the vending bylaw is for vending of all sorts of things, not just food trucks. Food trucks are one component, or mobile canteens, I think, as they're referenced in the bylaw. So it's a lot to review and a lot of stakeholders that may need to be consulted in the process, and due process is important to be followed with this, as in anything that we do. So thanks.
Any other comments on the motion? No other comments? All those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimous. Thank you. Councilor Dauphinee?
I move that council direct staff to review the video surveillance bylaws and regulations in other municipalities and report back to council with potential options for regulating residential surveillance cameras in the town of Lunenburg.
It's been moved. Do we have a seconder? Do we have a seconder? Last, you don't have to. Okay, seconded by Councilor Strong. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Go ahead, Councilor Strong.
It has always been my understanding that surveillance cameras are governed by the law of nuisance, trespass, and privacy. Privacy would be in a commercial sense of being able to use surveillance. I don't think that staff should spend a whole lot of time on looking at the legislation, or looking at the legislation that does exist, because it's, as discussed earlier with someone, it's mainly about keeping gangs from breaking into apartment buildings in Ontario, which would be the landowner protecting his or her property. I would like to see more in line with a summary of the case law and any policies that are existing by surveillance manufacturers. The problem in my mind is that many people are using surveillance of their own that they buy at Walmart or at some other place like that, and are installing it without those guidelines or policies that most commercial enterprises have adopted. But I really don't think we should waste a whole lot of time, precious staff time, on whether we can regulate it by bylaw or policy ourselves. We can just do a summary memo in my mind. But that's it. I've seconded.
I'll be voting against the motion just because I don't think it's our responsibility. I think that some of your big players out there are promoting security cameras and home cameras every time you turn around. And there's not anybody that has a doorbell cam, it shows the neighbor's house and it shows the road. So I don't know how you'd ever police a camera from not showing your neighbor's property at all. That's the whole idea of a video camera, is to see somebody coming onto your property and leaving. So again, I don't know. We don't have the staff complement either to go around to check everybody's home security cameras and where they're aimed. And so again, I don't think this is an area where we want to jump into, and I don't think we want to spend a whole lot of staff time on it. I honestly, and no disrespect to the complaint last Tuesday night. That's the first we've had from anybody about security cameras. So we have to be careful how fast we jump on requests, because we could be jumping every day by people asking something. So again, I won't be supporting, I'll be voting against it just because I don't feel it's our jurisdiction to control people's home security cameras.
It's definitely not within the core jurisdiction of municipalities. I think there's a list of lawyers in the yellow pages that would love you to knock on the door and come in and discuss it with them. But.
Any other discussion, Deputy Mayor?
Just a question through you to our CAO. I'm wondering if, with your experience in other municipal jurisdictions and so on, is this ever come up in other municipalities even? Because I'm kind of concerned about diving into this beyond, our capacity and everything else concerned. Just would be happy to hear your comment on that.
Through you, Chair, I can definitely speak on this from the municipalities I've worked in, and even we've done a scan of like Nova Scotia, Atlantic Canada, and we were trying to see what's across Canada. Not one jurisdiction has one that polices private security cameras. The one that was referenced from Hamilton, we did a review on that, and it was actually about, again, gang-related issues and barricades and other issues associated with those types of mandates. It actually, in the Hamilton bylaw, it actually states that anybody who wants a home security system or home security cameras will be exempt from that restrictions in the bylaws. We did find across Canada a couple of others that govern municipal property and security cameras on public spaces. If that's something council wants us to review and look at, that's something we can do. But there was nothing in our jurisdictional scans that we've done to date that has found any other municipal bylaw that governs private security cameras on private land. And to that point, we do not have the capabilities to have staff go out and search everybody's cameras to see how they're doing and to keep them. The biggest things that we've noticed from the comments were, as long as they're not being pointed into somebody's private bedroom or bathroom, that's reasonable. Beyond that, everything else it's back to the concept of, is it a nuisance? Is it, security is, and even some of the court cases we were reading up on, it was more along the lines of, I had an issue where something was stolen off my property. I put security up to protect my property. And although my neighbors didn't like it, it came to the conclusion it was private security for your own household and your home property. So it really does not fall into the jurisdiction of municipal governance. It's really a civil to civil issue if neighbors have concerns. This really falls under our CMP processes and court processes. But even then, what's been dictated in Nova Scotia courts already has basically said it's maybe a nuisance, but it's more for private security of your own homes. So, and from what I can see in talking with other CAOs, nobody is looking at this. Nobody is approaching this. Not one municipality I know has anything like this other than policies as it relates to municipal properties, municipal security systems.
I mean, I will say it's very unfortunate, because it seems to me after the presentation, it seems to be a dispute between neighbors that I don't think we have any jurisdiction or any really desire to get in the middle of. I think it's a civil matter that they should be taking up amongst each other. And like Councilor Strong said, I'm sure in the yellow pages, there's all kinds of lawyers out there waiting for a phone call. And, and if not, if you feel it's really intrusive, call the RCMP and let them deal with it. But we certainly don't have the capabilities of dealing with anything like this, nor do we really want to be honest. So that's all I have to say. Would anybody else have any other comments? Okay. All those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. All those opposed, raise your right hand. Motion defeated. And I'll just do it this way, with Councilor Dauphinee voting for it and everybody else against it, okay? Thank you. So then now we're on to committee of the whole items. The agenda will be out for that Thursday. Because we have a committee of the whole meeting next Tuesday or a week from tonight. So there's nothing there. And then we'll go on. The motion action list is just there for Basically, oh, Paul.
Through your worship, just in the discussions as it comes to the vending bylaw, we'll add that to the motion action list. Understanding the discussions we had here tonight, we will bring the report forward for council for review, but at this point in time, based on the timeline, would you like us to put it as a motion B or a motion C? It's a 3 to 6 months for B, 6 months and greater for C.
B, maybe? Can we come back, committee of the whole? Let's talk, let's come back with, we'll look at it for committee of the whole night. And I guess I did miss where we actually had stuff on the agenda under number 11. I forgot council reports. So we'll go back to number 11 quickly and do council reports. So I wondered where that was on the agenda because we hardly ever have notice of motions on there. So we'll start to the left this week. Councilor Fullerton.
Nothing to report.
Councilor Green. Councilor Babineau. Deputy Mayor.
No, I think I'm good. I'm glad the town did very well in my absence.
Councilor Dauphinee.
The Pie Munchers is a team of 4 super smart grade 4 students at Lunenberg Academy. They have accomplished something very remarkable. In their first year of Lego robotics, they won the provincial championships at Acadia University. They beat teams much older than themselves. Their next step is to represent the South Shore on the national stage at Brock University in June for the Canada Cup. These brainy builders designed, built, and programmed a robot to solve archaeological, that's a hard one for me, challenges. The STEM program is focused on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, something that the mayor and I are very good in. It teaches critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity through hands-on real-world application. STEM provides a solid foundation for students who are interested in software development, data science, and engineering, something that the mayor and I could have gone into. The Pie Munchers have a GoFundMe page to reach their goal of $12,000, which will help to cover the flights, hotels, the equipment that they will need, registration, and etc. Please help if you can and go to their GoFundMe page. This Saturday night is the 53rd annual Chowder Cup, aka the RCMP versus Lunenburg Fire Department. It's at the arena at 6:30, and Noah Romke will be wearing a Habs uniform. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilor Strong.
I had the good fortune to attend the Lunenburg Board of Trade meeting this morning. That was the first since I became the town rep on there. It's non-voting, so I don't get to pass the agenda or anything like that, or vote on anything. I completed the Engage Nova Scotia questionnaire online, if you haven't done it yet, and get your pass number and do it. It took me less than 10 minutes. And I was wondering if we could have a follow-up. Is there a computer in town, in the town hall that, okay, you want to?
Yeah, we have access to a computer. If anybody needs access to participate, we can accommodate accordingly.
And I wholeheartedly support the mayor's statement earlier today on the Facebook page that many of you may not actually be engaged with on Facebook, but vis-a-vis the Lunenburg Waterfront Association questionnaire and the direction of the future of the Lunenburg Waterfront. And I've had 2 of the burgers so far, and the Lunenburg Challenge, I won't tell you which ones, but they were really good. I think my strategy this year is to ask for them without the bun.
Thank you. I really have nothing to report. It's only been a week since we met, so we'll move on. Motion action list we talked about. There's nothing for closed session, so believe it or not, in 29 minutes, call for a motion for adjournment. Moved by Councilor Babineau, seconded by Councilor Fullerton. Thank you very much, everyone.